Hey, what is up, guys? It is Omen, and I'm back with another video for you guys. In today's video, what we're going to be doing, we're just going to go over some basic rules with a power supply if you have a new PC. Alright, so let's get this open. So this power supply that I'm going to be demonstrating and showing you guys is the Corsair RM1000X. So 1000 watts. It's basically it's massive compared to something like 500 watts, and I can see why that's possible and why that is. So this is a refurbished model that I got for $200, and this is around like $400 power supply. So as you see, I got all the cables plugged in. I will go over that in the next few minutes. There's gonna be another clip, but I'm just gonna talk about some guidelines and some rules that you should never and you should always do. So let's start off with the bad news, like the don't do at all. You should never do this. It can like destroy your PC. Okay. So the first thing is never ever face your power supply fan like this and in a case if your case is on the floor. Okay, so if it's like this, don't do that, because then it'll send the air up, and if it's on carpet, I don't know what you're doing, but if it's like this on carpet, that's literally a fire hazard, because all the dust and stuff like pet particles, all of that stuff, it's gonna get inside the fans, and then it's gonna like reduce the light diameter a lot. Now if it's on the carpet and it's like this, then that's good. But my PC is on a wooden plank, and when I get an RTX 3080, I don't want it sending air up and sending it like this down. So I'm gonna put it like this, so it's much better. Alright, a thing you should never ever do is never ever switch this on while it's off. If you switch this on and then you plug it in and everything and you power your PC on, it's just gonna automatically like turn on. Alright, so you never ever want to keep this on. Alright, so when you plug it in, turn it on, then turn your PC on. Never turn your PC on without this thing on power on. Alright, so as I said before, I'll go over these three wires, all this stuff later. But things you should do. Alright, so always what you should do is don't like throw this and like be hard with it. It's a lot of delicate stuff inside. If you break something, it could possibly harm other parts in your PC. So please do not do that. Now let's talk about wattage and how do you decide to have a power supply? What wattage do you need? So the way you decide this is you go to your whatever you built the PC, you research and you figure out how much wattage is your entire PC using before you upgrade. So then if it's using, so my PC is currently using 500 watts. So if you want to, I'm getting RTX 3080, but I don't have it yet, but I want it. But when I get one, it's going to need like 750 watts. So 500 watts won't cut it. And let me tell you something. If you put an RTX 3080 or RTX 3090 or RTX 3070, any high-end GPU inside a PC that has less wattage, it's going to if you don't know what hard booting is, hard booting is a way when you turn off you're never supposed to hit the power button to turn off your PC. You're supposed to shut it down. Never ever press the power button to turn it off. That's what hard booting is. And the same thing is going to happen. If it can't deliver that much power, it can't equally, it's going to send like 200 watts to the graphic card and then like 50 watts to the motherboard. And then it's going to be a whole disaster. Possibly damage of parts and hardware, and possibly even fire hazard. So please don't do that. Alright, moving on. What we're going to do is, I'm going to talk about, where was I? Yes, how to choose your power supply. Alright, you want to research, do all the research you can, figure out how much wattage is your parts using, and if you're going to, so I have a 1660 Super right now as my graphic card. It uses around 150 watts, 200 watts. And what you want to do is you want to take your power supply, or whatever you want, and then calculate how much wattage you have left. Alright? My PC, I could have just bought 750 watts and be done with it. But if you want to add something else in the future, like a whole like liquid cooling system or something like that takes like 150 watts, 100 watts, then you're gonna have to upgrade again. So I suggest you future proof it and you go with 1000 watts. But if you go overkill, like you have like a low end PC and it's only using 300 watts, and you buy 1000 watts, that's gonna like that's a little bit overkill, and it possibly might damage your parts since it's over. All right, so and another thing I wanted to mention is please, okay, I don't know if you're gonna do this. Do not try not to mount your power, like especially like the high end ones, to the corner, like at the top of your system. The reason for that is if you mount it to the top, there's gonna be no airflow at the bottom other than the graphic card. So if you're gonna do it like, if you're gonna mount it like this or like this, like something like that, that might possibly like, what if it like, if it's heavy like this one, what if it like falls down on all your components? That's why you should always keep it at the bottom left, bottom right, something like that. But I understand for the people who have older PCs, their power supply is mounted at the top. But I'm pretty sure there is a way you can move that and put it there at the bottom. But I'm not going to force you to do anything here. And the last thing I wanted to mention before you go buy something is please use some cable management, like zip ties and like some rubber bands. I don't care, like clips. Just use something that can manage your cables. Not like this. You don't want your wires going around like this, because then that would possibly push parts together, and you don't want like this big 24 pin connector leaning against your graphic card or motherboard, or like some hard drive data cables to be getting stuck in the fan of the GPU. You never want that. So what I suggest is you take the back panel off if you have a back panel, and you use it like that. All right, so my PC is like very high end. I'm not bragging or anything, but it's a high end PC. Although it doesn't look good, it's still, I really didn't care about what it looks like, because, well, who cares? Like it's sitting in a corner anyway, and all I cared was about performance, and that's what you should care about too. But I understand the people who take more for granted, like I want more looks than power. That was once me. But when I learned about content creating on YouTube, and I could do this stuff, like RTX 3080 isn't gonna look good. It's huge. It's not gonna look good. So I would rather have more performance than less looks. But if you want to keep a balance, that's fine. I suggest that as well. But never take performance under looks, because that's just gonna make it. As I said before, this is a refurbished model, so you whenever you buy a refurbished model, you have to make sure it's not a scam. Like I could have bought a refurbished model for $150, and it being like a 400 watt power supply. But the reason I know is because this thing was Prime, so I knew it wasn't a scam, and like Amazon Prime. And I also didn't know because I saw other people have images of this and videos of this working and refurbished. So you always want to keep an eye out for fraudulent things and for scam. But now let's talk about this stuff, and I will show you everything in the next clip here. Alright, so let's just start off with the power supply. Alright, this is your power supply. This is what we have here. And yes, I'm actually doing this on carpet because I have more space and area to do this, okay? So, as I said before, 1000 watts, Corsair RMX. So, this is your power supply, alright? Let's just start by talking about the cables, okay? So, obviously you have your power connector that goes into the outlet. And next up, we have their CPU, alright? So, this basically goes to your motherboard, and at it might be the top left, top right. It's gonna be somewhere in your motherboard. Okay, so don't get mixed up with your PCI graphic card cable, because they might look the same. You see, graphic card, and then this is your CPU. And the CPU cable will auto disconnect like this. And if it does that, that means it's your CPU. And some CPU motherboards have 8-pin and some have 4-pin. So you can change it according to your motherboard and CPU. So let's just talk about where this goes. So obviously this is your, okay, let's first talk about this one. This is your, I already have this plugged in because it was like, it's not kind of hard to get it in. This is a 24-pin connector. This thing can come off. It might be 20 pins for some old motherboards, but this is a 24-pin. Okay, so, and this will connect. This is a fully modular, as I said before, and it says 24-pin ATX. That's how you know it's your motherboard. Alright, so the CPU cable, which goes right here. And make sure that the big one, the big bracket, you're connecting to your motherboard and not the small bracket. So, the small bracket will go in here. And when you hear a click on your power supply, that means it's in. So, and make sure, do not get confused. Do not get confused between these. This splits up, which means it's the CPU cable. Next up, we have our graphic card. And it depends what your power supply wattage is. If you're gonna, so this one supports 4 graphic card plugs, so it can support up to 8 pins. So this is your graphic card one, and then this is another side of the graphic card, and then this is your connector. And make sure you keep it. I'll recommend you this, but make sure to keep it as far away as possible from your CPU cable so you don't get mixed up, and you can change it on later on. So let's just put this here. Alright, clicked, it's in, and this is your graphic card. Next up, we have our data, which is going to be this one. Oh, let me get it. Yep. Next up, you have your data and SATA cables. And this is Perfil and SATA. That's where everything goes. All your data, your hard drives, all of that good stuff. So as I said before, keep it as far away as possible from your other one, and put that here. Alright, so you got, this is a Corsair one, and it comes with 4 power connectors. So that goes there, keep it as far away as possible. And then last up, we have your fan split. This is like a fan splitter, and this is like another connector for accessories like fans, more hard drives, stuff like that. Well, this is a fan one, and this is also in Perfil and SATA. So you want to keep it as far away as possible. Boom, a little bit spread out so you can add some more stuff. This one obviously goes right here. Let me just get that in off camera. Don't like break the pins. Try not to break the pins. That will go here, and you got your on and off switch. And let's go back. I'm actually gonna plug this so I can lay it on its side. Let's go back. Now you can also use your cable management wires. I didn't get any in this package, but you can always buy some. And I'm gonna actually just put on all the extras that my PC needs. So I'm actually gonna put in another one of these Perfil and SATA. So this will go right there. Keep it as, I like to keep it at the center if you have any extras, so you can, it's like leveled. This is another graphic card, which I like to will keep right at the bottom, right in the center, so I know where it goes. Actually, let's put it here, so if I need it, RTX 3080, right? That's gonna go right there. Yeah, and that's it, basically. And I just want to make sure you guys understand this stuff. And please, 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 be sure to use your cable management inside your PC. I know it's like a big mess right now, but it'll be fixed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.